Thanks for watching Indie Game Award 2022 Winners Interview. We are here with the winning team of Best Mobile Game, Lo-Fi People. Hi Giori, hi Doron, how are you?
Oh, we're good, thank you.
Good morning, April. Happy to be here.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the studio and give the audience a brief introduction to Blind Drive?
So we're Lo-Fi People. We're a collective who's been doing art and interactive for already some time. Blind Drive is our first video game. It's something that we've been working on for a number of years. It's been out since March 2021. So the idea of Blind Drive is that you're driving blindfolded on a freeway. And the only thing you can do is listen, and according to what you hear, that's how you play the game. It's a black comedy adventure, so throughout the game, a story is unfolding over the phone. You're playing as the main character with a lot of twists and turns, and it's a kind of action and narrative experience that is audio-based, basically.
I'm Giori, I'm the sound designer and the level designer of the game.
Giori and I have been collaborating on this. I'm Doron. I do the both the narrative design, the script writing, and the programming and animation. We also had help from an amazing team, Giori and Nathan, who did the graphic design, and Ariel Mann, who composed the music. And Neil, who did the cover art. So, we really had a great team together on this game.
And you mentioned that Blind Drive is an audio-driven game without graphics. So how do you come up with the idea?
The original idea was doing a site-specific installation, actually, and not a game. We had an idea, try to drive a car while not seeing anything, just listening to the sound. And we thought of it to be an installation with a real car dashboard. When you get in, you can't see anything, and you just feel how it's drive without too much like gamification of the experience, more of like just like artistic experience. And we played around with some ideas, and then we decided to develop it for a complete video game.
I think people's reactions when we first started showing it around, people's reactions were like, wait, what's the next level like? And what happens next? And then we realized that it would actually be really great to build on that and turn it into a full game.
Yeah, I really like the game, and I only passed like the second level because it's pretty hard for me. So in terms of the sound, how do you design the level? Like what's your favorite part?
When we went on designing the different levels, we started with the basic mechanics, like what the level will be about, like ideas of driving with the windows closed, or driving while the radio is playing, or driving through a tunnel, or to avoid gunshots, or anything like that. So we went on designing the really basic sounds for the mechanic. Not like the complete experience, but only the most important sounds that we can test the level. So, and then we went on like play testing with people to see if it's understandable, if it's fun, if it's playable, and if the test would pass, we went on designing like the complete sounds for this level and the story as well. Recorded the voices and added all the ambiances and the Foley sounds and the actions. And then slowly we started to tie it for the complete game and connect it to the complete narrative.
The approach was to try as many different options as possible, and then what we did is we edited a lot. We worked a lot on making sure that everything fits together as a whole, that the progression makes sense both in how your skill is developing, because it's the first time for many players using their ears. So making sure the skill and the comfort goes together with the challenge, but also that the story and the drama builds up with just the right amount of information to help you play, and also kind of to get a grasp on what you're going. So that was a challenge, but a fun one.
So could you share like your favorite part? Because for me, my favorite part is the ice cream truck and also the grandma one. Because I love the character. She's so funny and she's hilarious. So can you share a little bit about your favorite part?
So it's hard to choose a favorite part because there are a lot of parts in the game which we it started out as a crazy idea that we did not know how we could pull it off. And only when we started to put things together, we realized, what could be done there. So some of our favorite scenes, definitely the ice cream truck was a favorite from the early beginning, where we started out with how could we add some fun power-ups based on car sounds. So what better than an ice cream truck? But then that took off in a whole direction, where the ice cream is part of kind of a conspiracy with an ice cream mafia and a lot of things related to that. So definitely that's a great part of the game. There are a lot of action parts in the game that take off the basic car driving sounds. For me, I love the police chase level where there's a police car behind you and the police car suddenly realizes you're blindfolded. There's a level where you end up on some kind of angry farmer's crops and you're running over his crops and his cows, and he gets really angry and starts chasing you on with his shotgun. And yeah, many things later on. There's helicopter chases. We had a lot of fun playing around, as you mentioned, the grandmother character, which we can talk a little bit more about her in a minute. But at points, she's joining you in the action, so that was that was a lot of fun working on.
I have many different favorite parts. Actually, I cannot choose one, but I love the more hardcore parts, like when it gets quite fast and difficult. Towards the ending, when there's a lot of actions, and you have the helicopter and grandma on the roof, and many things all together. But also, I love the parts underwater where it's very meditative and chill and quiet, and you can hear very little sounds. And this one was really fun levels to design. Suddenly, the whole atmosphere is very different from the rest of the game. And yeah.
So how do you make the sound of helicopter?
Well, actually, the helicopter itself, we kind of we use kind of a library sound for the rotor, but it built from many different sounds all together. Like the rotor itself made of 3 different sounds depending how close it is and the orientation, and all the other follies of the helicopters and the bad boss yelling in the megaphone, all made up from different pieces we recorded or we pulled out from different libraries. So it's kind of collage of many things, many sounds.
There was a period when we were working on the helicopter where every time we would hear one outside, we would just open the windows and start driving after it. To kind of understand what gives us the feeling that it's hovering over us. So we worked a lot on the kind of the cues to make you feel the way it's moving around you, above and to the side. You hear it one ear and then goes to the other. A lot of different frequencies of the engine and things like that, which Giori did a fantastic job on.
Also, in this part, actually, the grandma is on the car's roof. It's a bit of a spoiler, but so I went on my car and put a microphone inside and went on the roof and started to walk and jump on the roof to get this really realistic feeling of somebody is on the roof. And also the cat is inside the car, and this part we actually had some cat samples, and we were moving it inside the car digitally with audio processing.
No animals were harmed in the production of Mind You.
Great. So you mentioned that there are many sounds in the game. Is that the hardest part when you developing the game?
I think the most difficult thing was to balance everything together and get also we really wanted a realistic feeling that people will really feel they're driving like inside a car and hear all the different sounds, but also we had to make sure it is all playable and understandable. So there are small fine tunes of getting the sounds sometimes not so realistic, but they have to be really understandable. So you hear everything, where it's come from, and what do you have to do when you hear the sounds. We worked until the last minute on balancing all the different layers, that it will be not too much like things going on, but still will feel really, really realistic and immersive.
And because the game is so driven on people's imagination, we also had to make sure that as we're writing the story and the dialogue, we give just enough information to help you as the player visualize what's going on. So when you do start hearing the sounds, you already have context for them, but not too much information where we would just be explaining it to you and then you wouldn't have to imagine anything at all. So that was also a balance, which we rewrote the script many times together with the sound design to get it right. So it's really, like Giori says, one big job of balancing everything together.
So you mentioned about the narrative and the storyline. So what do you want to design like a black comedy game with this kind of funny story?
So, well, when we started out in our early days, when we were just showing it to people and it was just a sound experience of driving, we saw that it's a very stressful experience. People would really react strongly and start sweating and getting red, and we realized that that's a very good thing as an interactive experience to be able to trigger such strong emotions. However, we also wanted to lighten up the mood a little and help people relax and kind of enjoy the experience. So that's when we started to add humor in. But obviously the situation in the game is pretty dark anyway. So black comedy is something we also felt naturally about. You know, we love all kinds of 90s black comedy thrillers like Tarantino and Wes Anderson and Coen Brothers. So we added a lot into that, and it just worked together with the kind of grungy sound that was anyway part of it from the start.
So I would like to talk about the in-game character, the grandma. So how do you come up with the idea? Why do you want to put like grandma in the game?
First of all, grandma was played by an amazing voice actress whose name is Ghani Tamir, who really gave all the kind of the character of grandma her special mix of being both cute and senile, but both very aggressive and tyrannical at times. And you know, I think it came naturally for us to put a character like that into the game, as you know, the figure of the grandmother, or the Jewish grandmother, is our grandmothers have been a big part of our lives, and kind of the character who has to come in and make sure all the boys stop making a mess and taking control. So yeah, it's about this kind of mix of a caring character who's a bit soft and a bit funny, but also when she needs to, she's just very aggressive. So we played a lot around that. I was doing all the voice characters at the beginning during our testing, so that was silly and kind of fun. But then when we brought Ghani in, she really blew the lid off this character and gave it everything she got. So Grandma's definitely one of her favorites as well.
At first, we were sketching everything, and we play around with really different parts and ideas. So every time Doron would come to my studio, and it was just like throwing sentences to the microphone, and we were just editing and stuff until we were ready to record like the complete narrative and the script, and then we brought the actors to the studio. But still, Doron is doing the bad guy voice in the game, and
yeah, with a little voice modulation to lower my voice. We should mention Zach Cohen, who plays Donnie, the main character.
Yeah.
He was a big part of the writing process. So, I think in the early stages we would write and then come to the studio and then play it out. And once we listened to it together with the game, with my voice, we would understand if we were giving enough information and if the pacing is right. And then we would go back and rewrite the script. And when Zach came into the process, he would basically improvise 10 different versions emotionally, the same words, but every time was completely different. And we gained so much from that, understanding, what works and what doesn't, what has an impact on your imagination and what doesn't. Again, we rewrote the script many, many times, part of editing it. We love Zach and Gani and their relationship as grandson and grandmother. It's just huge kudos to them for what they perform in the game.
Also, can you share about what is the most rewarding thing when you're developing the game?
For me, it was really rewarding to see people play and really get the feeling and the vibe of the game and really get into it. We did many different small jokes or parts that we weren't sure if they're gonna work, and to see people when we watch streaming or live in festival and stuff, it's very rewarding to see that people really gets it and really get the atmosphere and the sense of humor. And of course also all the feedback and recognition that the game got in the different festivals and awards and the press. It's really enjoyable to see. I didn't expect it to have this kind of impact actually, and it was really fun to have this.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. It's like Giori says, when you put a silly joke that makes you laugh, or when you time a certain sound in the right moment that gives you a little jump, you're not sure it's gonna work because you can't rely on previous examples. And then when it works and everyone's laughing and everyone's jumping exactly when you were hoping they would, for me that's really the highlight of the creative process.
And since the game was first released in 2021, do you have any updates or upcoming DLC for this?
We are working now on an endless mode that will join the game in a few months probably, and we won't say too much about it, but it's going to feature grandma mainly, and since we released the game, the most requested feature was to add endless mode experiences, racing for scores and time. So we're working on this at the moment, and it takes us a bit long time, but it will come.
So lastly, do you have any messages for the audience?
Well, first of all, we really want to thank everyone who's played the game and taken the time to enjoy it and to give us feedback. A huge thank you to the visually impaired gaming community, who really from early on have been our partners. A lot of beta testers. A lot of help understanding what will make the game fully accessible and fully enjoyable without compromise. I think that's something that we set our sights on pretty early on, and we realized that as an audio game, we have the opportunity here to make a game that could be equally enjoyable, if not more so, when your eyes are closed, when you're not looking at any screen, or when you can't see anything. Again, the Blind Gamers community helped us a lot to realize that dream. So a huge thank you to them, and everyone who's played it at festivals and online, and who bought the game. And it's really, it's what gives us the motivation to keep creating and to provide, more quality experiences for this audience.
Giori, do you have any messages for the players?
Just to add, thank you for everyone who played. It was it's really fun to to see all these people playing.
And of course to Taipei Game Festival for the wonderful support, and it's really been a wonderful experience taking part, and of course winning such a flattering award.
Thank you so much for taking your time to speak with us. So if the audience want to stay connected, where can they find you?
So we're on Twitter. We have our website lowflypeople.com, where you can contact us through there. We're on Twitter at lowflypeople. Giori's on there, and I'm on there as Tonicwood. Feel free to write us a line. We also have a Discord server, which you can request access to, where we usually give updates kind of before they're reached out. You can also sign up to our newsletter on our website and get updates on the game and future projects. And we'd love to get in touch. Feel free to write us. And that's it.
So thank you again for taking the time to speak with us. So have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, April.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching Indie Game Award 2022 Winners Interview. If you like this video, please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to have more developers interviews in the coming weeks. Please stay tuned.